Michelle, you're here early. You are here very early. Okay, let's see. Good evening, Michelle. 9:49. I didn't know you could actually leave comments on it before it started. So I was like, oh. CL, ask some good questions because this is your kind of topic. Today, hi Cindy. Gonna talk about quality listings. Ooh. List to sell. Grumpy Granny. I did not mean that your stuff was filth. Clearly, I'm trying my best to take on the personality of Octo, and it's quite hard. I realize it's not easy being a what's the word? It's quite hard being the acceptable intersection of condescending and lovable at the same time, and he's done that very well. So that's a very good skill. CL, I think you have summarized this whole live chat, so I guess we can just call it a night. I'll just run your banner across the screen, and that'll that will be it for the day. uh, how's the day been for everybody? I've been on the road all day, so I had a lot to pick up in Melton, and essentially, so for those of you guys who are not in Melbourne, I'm on this side of the city, and Melton's on that side of the city, so it takes me about an hour and a half to get there, and it's one of those, like, it's far enough to justify going and filling up the rest of the trip. So it was really good over there. I got there was even more stuff there, and then made my way back. So essentially, what was meant to be a single pickup and maybe a couple of stops ended up being like on the road from 9:30 all the way until 3:30 p.m. Where I came back to pick up this monitor. So hopefully I've had like a little 20-minute nap around 9 o'clock. So, and I've got coffee with a bit of whiskey in here. So I'm hoping that I'll stay awake and that there will be a lot of energy for this one. Retro Ranga. It wasn't so much of a toy bundle. It was more like I was after some toys, and then I got there, and then she just had more toys. And the best part was, because the condition of the toys that I wanted was so good, the condition carried on, and it looked like it was just one of those families that really look after their stuff. So everything that I picked up was like, you know that feeling when you open a crate of something, and then the light hits it, and you see just reflection everywhere. Kind of like how when pirates unearth a chest and they open up the lid and all the diamonds start to sparkle. That was the condition of the stuff I picked up today, which absolutely blew my mind. And the best part was that the stuff that she wanted to sell, she had already listed on Facebook, but the listing was really bad. Like, she didn't take good photos. You couldn't tell what was there. And so when she opened the box, I was like, oh, right. I just took it all. So yeah, very good day. Very good day. Interesting, Michelle. Got a second lot 1.5 years later. What's that story? Got some people here saying that it's quiet on eBay. Quiet. Is this time of year actually quiet for us normally? Because normally July, I'm going to consult my graph. Actually, I have a graph that shows how things usually are. Let me see. I'm wondering if I can actually show this to you guys, because this will be quite fun. Will it let me do it? Okay, so I need to go and somehow. Okay, I'm going to see if I can share the screen. Which window are we looking at? This one. Cool. All right, so this is like my sales for the I only ever track the product sales because you guys already know I don't talk about the top line revenue, because as far as I'm concerned, I want to track product sales because that's an indicator of how we're doing in terms of our listing quality, the listing variety, the stock variety, the pricing, even what's the state of competition, what's the state of the economy, are people spending, people not. And what I've realized with me is that this looks pretty similar. You've got, it climbs back. This was at the start, so I don't really count the start. Like, climbs up in January, then it goes down, and then around the middle of the year, it starts to climb back up again, and then we find ourselves having that Christmas spike. So this is my Christmas spike here. And then the next year, I have a bit more of a Christmas spike, but not really, because at this point, we're very much growing, very much adding. At this point, I remembered I was at 200 listings here, trying to get to 1,000 listings in a month. So this was that explained that spike. But every year, the trend is pretty similar. There's this dip around the December to January. There's a dip, and then it slowly recovers, and then there's a bit of a dip around, I'm guessing this is May, June. And for me, the next year, this was that COVID year. COVID year was also a bit strange because we all knew that Christmas, COVID, everyone was like, and then the year after COVID, we've normalized. But as you can see, there's a bit of that 1, 2, 3 peak, 1, 2, 3 peaks, 1, 2, 3 peaks. So when I look at this graph, it kind of gives me peace that if we're around here and we expect that kind of June to July drop, I kind of expect it to happen again. So if things are slow but it's still within pattern, no stress, I guess. Not sure if that makes any sense. It's like you pretty much just compare to your normal, really, because I think it's quite easy to pick the number that you want to compare to make you feel a certain way. So, for example, if you're used to doing, say, 20 grand in sales on this month last year, and you don't see the number now, you can feel like, we're doing badly. But really, if you're adjusting for the fact that the market has changed, spending capacity has reduced, rates have gone up, if all the economic factors signal that what you're experiencing is normal, then you can kind of go about business per normal and just focus on not buying as much stock, so you can preserve cash flow for when things become better spending wise, like at Christmas time. So essentially, if things are looking normal, then when Christmas comes along, the pattern should also hold there. So it's not a case of doom and gloom and we assume the worst all the way to the very end. It's like, yep, we're seeing a dip because every year historically we've also had a dip. Christmas, we're going to see a hike. How much the hike's going to be, nobody knows, but at least I know I can expect one. And it's not unreasonable to expect one based on your pattern. So yeah, I'm very curious to know if you guys have actually done like a graph of your own to actually see how you guys track month on month every year. And yeah, so when I look at mine for the last 3 years, it's pretty consistent. So yeah, did that help at all? Did like the graph watching the patterns year on year, did that actually help you guys at all? Especially those who have only just started doing this for a year or so. Tiger for Life, Matilda, Pia, who else is here? Mr. Roberts, welcome, welcome, welcome. Mr. Laurie. There's a lot happening in the chat. I'm seeing mentions of templates. I'm seeing item specifics being completed. I'm seeing sell similar from own listings. Don't take people's mistakes. Yep. Media Madman. Okay, so with quality listings, the reason why this topic was picked was because it was asked for by a few people. I don't the angle I want to take for tonight is actually to do it from the buyer's point of view, and so I'm not sure whether I don't want this to be like a lecture because it shouldn't be. You guys all know what to do for the most part. But my take on a quality listing doesn't have anything to do with whether you do this or that within the certain listing. It's really everything to do with what the buyer wants, and whether you understand how the buyer buys in real life and you replicating that via your listings. So when I think of a quality listing, the first thing that comes to mind is that a listing must be able to be found. So when we think about the number of listings that are made where the seller hasn't actually bothered to think about how their listing is found, you think about the number of times you see, I guess, shoes with the... So I play basketball. The number of times I look for basketball shoes and I don't see the word basketball shoes in the title, it happens quite a lot because the person who has the shoe goes, it belongs to this player. They're a pair of Kobe's. They know the number Kobe shoe it is. They know the size. They know the color. Some of them don't even put the color. So really, they're going, I want to sell the shoe to the person who's looking for that particular shoe, and that's it. But really, there are some people who buy based on size, based on color, based on the fact that it's just a basketball shoe, and they're looking for something that's pleasing to the eye. as long as it's affordable. So most important thing is whether can it be found. That's my first thing. The second thing is, does everything in your listing add information to the buyer? So like I see many listings where the photos are taken just for the sake of a photo, like as if the photo is to say, this I have the item on hand, or it'll be like one photo and then that piece of paper that goes name and then the date to show that they have the item, but then there's nothing else. So then when a buyer looks at it, they go, okay, I see the item, but I don't know anything else about the item. I don't know what conditions in. I don't know. There's nothing about it that makes you want it more. And so, as a seller, when we think about quality listings, we need to provide an experience through the photos. So CL talked about it a bit further up about for so many photos you don't need words. But in addition to that, photos must make not just inform about the item, but make the buyer feel what you want them to feel. Obviously, not an exaggeration, but the feeling, feeling excited is probably not the word we were going for. Feeling assured, safe, confident. I think if we are trying to make our buyers feel confident with our listings, that's a quality listing. If I like sometimes I go to some listings where they will have, like those variation listings for iPhone cases, where they make you swipe, and you don't really get more for your swiping. Those listings piss me off because if I'm swiping to try and figure out if I want the item or not, I want to see more. I want to be able to tell the material from another photo. But instead, I just have 100 photos that are the same thing, just photoshopped to different colors. And at the end of the day, I don't end up buying because to me, it doesn't give me confidence that what I'll get is what I'll be happy with. And surprise, surprise, with a lot of these sellers, when you buy, say, 3 or 4 cases, they'll make a mistake. And then they're more than happy for you to keep the item because the value is so low. Their care factor is also very low. So for most of us, we don't really sell items at mass at such low prices. Most of us sell items that are generally quite high profit margin relative to what we pay. So therefore, I think that there's definitely a responsibility and an opportunity for us to show that we care through the photos that we take, such that with every photo that the buyer swipes, they're increasing in confidence knowing this item is in good condition, definitely in good condition. I wanted this item. Now I really want the item. I reckon it'll do what it needs. Like you're essentially allowing them to experience the ownership almost visually, and then after that they buy. It got me thinking about the brochures for luxury cars, how they don't have enough photos actually, but because they want you to go to the dealership to go and experience the vehicle yourself, they don't give you too much. It's more of a teaser. With eBay, we don't have that. So therefore, maximize your 24 photos. And I'm very curious to know what with the stuff that you guys actually sell, how many of you have struggled to maximize 24 photos? If there's a category that I'm not aware of where 24 photos would actually start to feel a bit redundant, mention it in the comments so that if you're in that category, then we can be like, all right, I get that you can only take a piece of paper how many different ways, but I think CDs, what was it like? Oh, clothes. Surely we can maximize photos on clothes. I feel like with clothes, there's so many. Okay, unless you're talking like a white like wife beater. The moment it's ribbed, you can take a close up of the rib, the pattern, the thread. Not that you have to. Obviously, value must justify the photo. But thinking of details, like I remember when I used to do women's clothes for a very brief period of time, so brief. I enjoyed taking up close macro shots of buttons because I was like, oh my gosh, they're such like really nice buttons, and the knots on toggles. That I really enjoyed. Sealed DVDs, that's true. 1 and 2, maybe this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. CL furlong 16 to 24 for clothes. There you go. I've seen your clothes photos actually. Like I was gonna tell you this when I see you on Friday. Your clothes photos I like because the back I remember you used to fuss about the background and you weren't sure whether it's professional looking or not, but it was like it'll do until we figure something else out. But with each photo that I swipe of your item, I increasingly forget about the background and I'm more drawn to the actual item. So that's a good thing, because you're making me interested in building my profile of the item that I'm currently inspecting. And I think that's a testament to the types of photos you take, because the quality is already there. You take good photos quality wise. So yeah, buttons, Loopy, buttons. So buttons, toggles, zips, anything texture. You know what I mean? Like because when someone buys an, actually no, I remember what it was now. So I like to wear like new era caps, those snapback flat caps. I think I have one here. Ooh, yeah, like these ones. And I remember not appreciate when I first saw these online. They go for like $50, whereas a normal trucker cap that from a surf shop goes for like 20, 30. Your basic Nike baseball caps go for about 20, $30 as well. These things start at 50. They're a bit heavier. They don't breathe. But then only when I went to the shop did I realize why they're so expensive. It's because the stitching is really thick, and you can actually see like the texture. Even on the back logo, you can see that. Hey, let me see. Where's the camera? There we go. And so for me, or even just appreciating the lines in the actual fabric itself. So when I think about what detail can I take, texture comes to mind. So if there's even the slightest difference in texture between one part of the garment versus the other, snapping that at the angle that shows that texture will make the item pop. And that's one idea. 12 photos for books. Grumpy Granny, with books, do you take do you do like the sample page where you just open the book naturally, just take like one shot so that people go, oh yeah, this is an indication of the book in general? That's really good, Liz. I like that because when we think about the buyer, my rule with selling online is it must make the buying experience easier and faster than buying in person. I feel like those are the only two criteria to shop online. Like, if I can go out and buy something in person, what would make me do it online? It's easier, it's faster. For the most part, eBay is faster unless you make someone request an invoice, which, let's just knock that one out of the way. If you haven't set up any combined postage shipping rules, please figure that out, because there's nothing more jarring, I feel, in today's environment than a buyer buying something and then having to wait for an invoice so that they can pay. Let them pay. Even if you lose a bit on postage, because you'll make it easier for the buyer, they will come back. Don't let that be a sticking point, because really $1 or $2 in postage, especially when they buy multiple items, is a very small cost to pay for them to come back, and then you can fix your rules along the way. But if you familiarize yourself with postage rules, for me, I overcharge. So I add 5% of shipping for every item that's added, because eventually once they get to 4 or 5 items, it just moves closer to the next tier of shipping anyways, because I do flat rate. So like flat rate, small, medium, large. So like it starts at like $9 and then it very quickly gets to about $11.50, and then it becomes like $13. And with the Band 5 discount as well, give or take, I generally make money anyways. So don't let your buyers have to wait to pay. Make it fast, and then the next part is easier. So to Liz's point about taking the first few pages of the book, I like that, because if I go to a shop, that's generally what I do, right? If I'm going to buy a book, I'm going to open it, read the first couple of pages to see if the tone of the book resonates with me, if I like what I'm reading. Similar to how when we watch YouTube videos, we watch the first couple of seconds, we go, nah, or, So is that, if you're giving the buyer the chance to go, then you're adding value. So that's a good move. Hey, thanks, CL, for popping in. I'll see you on Friday. I've told So I suggested this idea to CL, to Chris Furlong, about a video we should do, because I don't run. I'm a basketball player and I sprint, and he can run for days. And we're just saying we should do a live stream where he's got one camera at the front, kind of like this, recording him, and I'm obviously going to be behind. And then I've got one kind of like here recording me. And then we're going to just jump back and forth between the two of us until the gap, answering questions from you guys, until the gap becomes so big that he can no longer see me. And then that's when the video ends. Let us know what you guys think of that idea. And if you think it's worth doing, we'll do it. Might be a very short video too. Sharing some good ideas already. Edges, inside, front cover, publishing page, 2 photos of random book pages. Yep. I'm not that unfit. And also Chris could technically jog slower. So therefore, but if he wants it to be quicker, then I guess he will run faster. But so yeah, we've done some photos. So we've done photos. The next thing is in your descriptions. What do you guys put in your descriptions? For me, I only write 3 things in my descriptions. The first one is to actually tell them that I combine shipping and it happens at the checkout. So therefore, not to go and not to wonder when it happens. To tell them shipping does combine, it happens at the checkout. The second thing, and sometimes I will also tell them that in the event that it doesn't happen, you'll get a refund of your shipping. The second thing I tell them is that I will ship in a box. If I know that the item, if I was the buyer, I would want to be shipped in a box, I will tell them it will be shipped in a box. And then the third thing I write is, sometimes depending on the item, if it's one of those, like with toy cars, for example, it's or even action figures, it can be very hard to search for an item. So some guidance on how to use a platform can help. In which case, because you need to understand, when people come to eBay, they come to eBay because they cannot go anywhere, because they've gone to other places before and they're now finding themselves on eBay hoping to find the item that they couldn't find elsewhere. I find it very, like, eBay to me is not the first place anybody goes to. It's very much a secondary place. So if somebody has found themselves on eBay, I feel like they have already spent time looking elsewhere, haven't gotten a result, and therefore will not have a first time on platform kind of level of patience for eBay. Which means that if they search on eBay and they can't find what they want, they probably will just be like, stuff it, too hard. So for some items, I will actually write, if you want to find the rest of the items within the range, click on my store name, then you'll click on sellers other items, you'll see a search bar, type in these words, and you will see the items that are like this item narrowed down. Because most of my stores have several thousand listings. So I don't want them to keep searching. I want to go, hey, if you've already clicked on this listing, which means you like this item, here are all the similar items and how you get there. That's how I do it. So those are my 3 things. Essentially, to give that confidence of, I know why you're here and I know what you want. Paul Laurie actually does it via HTML, and his listings have like his categories are very tight in his store. So I don't use categories in my store because laziness for the most part, because I started not doing them and then I grew a bit too big and then I just relied a lot on the search. But with Paul, he's got really tight categories, and the HTML in his description, for those of you guys who don't do anything coding, me neither, essentially it's coded in such a way that it looks like a template and with buttons that you can click that go to other places. And so he's got his categories in clickable buttons, so that if someone scrolls down to the description, they can go click, I want to go look at books, click, I want to go look at games, click. It adds value, which is from a buyer's point of view, it's like, hey, you're helping me to stay in your store. Very important. A good quality listing keeps the buyer in your store. You don't want to, especially nowadays when you've got the floating promoted listings underneath the photo, underneath the like, sometimes you can almost be mistakenly click out of the listing to go to a competitor if the competitor has a better photo than you. So you want to do whatever you can to keep them on your listing in your store. Thankfully, promoted listing banners are not as prevalent once they go into your store. If they're in, once they click, view sellers other items, the promoted listing banners are a lot less. But when they're in the listing for the very first time, as a result of organic or promoted search, those banners are quite ruthless. And I think the risk of you losing the buyer if your listing is not a quality listing is quite high. So you need to watch for that as well. It's not eBay. It's not eBay trying to screw you over. It's eBay trying to help the buyer. So therefore, if you help the buyer, eBay doesn't have to. And how can you be more helpful to the buyer than eBay? By actually telling the buyer what the buyer wants to see and hear as they go through your listing. Kind of like how with Chris's clothing photo, with each photo that I swipe, I increasingly forget about the fact that the background isn't a professional background. Hey, Sandra. Templates. Grumpy Granny, you've done a video on templates, haven't you? I think I've seen it somewhere. We can share that. Paul Laurie, you got to do a video on how to code category buttons. Michelle's asking. So, okay, so quality. So what a quality listing is not is a listing. It's a listing that is all about the seller. If you guys do anything that is of this nature, we will not judge you, but please make changes going forward so that your listing conveys that it's more about the buyer. Actually, in today's video, as I was driving, I put the camera on and started talking. And one of the things that just came out was about how buyers have consideration sets. And a consideration set, simply put, is a set of suppliers that are the go-to, because it's almost like favorite radio stations. If you think of a screen, you've got 7 buttons to press, 5, whichever car you've got, right? Once the driver sets their radio stations, they don't tend to change them. Unless someone says, you got to try this channel, you're like, but there's an effort to like hold down the button so that I can choose the new station. For most people, once they've pre-selected, they've pre-selected. So you want to be part of that pre-selected consideration set. Once you're there, the beauty of that is your competition can come and go, and your buyer will be completely oblivious to their existence. Kind of like everybody has a family member who goes and buys groceries at the same place every single time. A competitor can pop up literally next door, and they still will not go there because they're like, I like going to this place. Same for coffee shops, same for the local seamstress, same for if there's a place you go to, if there's an op shop that you like going to source and that continues to provide you with stock, another one can pop up next door. You may not even go in because you're like, this one's good enough. So having a quality listing gives you a chance to be part of that consideration, because ultimately we want eBay to introduce us to our buyers, but once we're there, we want the buyers to just remember us without the association to eBay. Not because eBay gets their money either way. You gotta understand it. eBay doesn't have an issue with us being part of a consideration set as the seller, and so they will just come to us directly. That way, instead of going to search for items, if they know that you replenish a certain kind of item, and they know that with each listing that they go to, they get an increasing confidence with each swipe, with each scroll. Easy way, save seller, and then they will save you, and you just scroll on their save searches. Purchase it, even if they don't save you initially. If it's an item that you buy once every 6 months, purchase history, click on the seller, scroll your store again. That's really awesome, because then your competition can do whatever, and you don't have to worry about pricing. You don't have to worry about keeping up with all that nonsense. You just go, yeah, I've got these buyers that already come to me. The only way that you break that bond is if you do something completely out of left field. Like if I suddenly did a video tomorrow telling you guys to start doing affiliate marketing because that's the way that you guys can make an awesome living, you'll be like, no, John, no, this is a reselling channel, and it's a business channel, and it's a how to have a great family life and principle-based channel, not a quick win channel. What the hell is this quick win video about? And you will wake up from your trance and go, I'm unsubscribing from John, I'm going to go elsewhere, right? But until that happens, and so essentially, as long as you're lulling your buyers into a sense of confidence, because you know what they want, you're giving them what they want. It's not dodgy, it's not deceptive. It's very much you're giving value every step of the way. eventually you'll qualify to be part of the consideration set, and then as long as you continue selling that category of item and the buyer needs that item, they will just come to you. And that's the best form of retention, more than any promoting listing tool markdown can ever achieve. You'll probably start paying full price too, because it's just easy. To the point about buying online must be easier and faster. If you're making it happen over and over again, no discount's not going to matter. Full price, you'll pay, get the item, come back, leave you great feedback. We're building websites now, damn. Yeah, this part I'm gonna bow out. I've got no technical knowledge whatsoever. I also feel like when you think about a good quality listing, it's very stripped down. Like, it's very simple. It's not complicated. Angela. Yeah, it is hard to keep your buyers on your listings, but I think we can be confident that if the listing ticks a whole bunch of boxes for the buyer will buy and the buyer will stay. Obviously, there needs to be a good understanding of what the buyer wants, not just photos for the item, not just things in the description that provide written assurance that certain things will be done. Shipping options, things like regular versus express versus if you reckon next day matters to your buyer, put it in there. Things like being able to get a discount on multiple purchase. It's funny, like there are some listings you go to where they'll have volume discounts for multiple items bought, and it's like an item that you wouldn't buy multiples of in the first place. I was watching. I was looking for cheaper prices helps, yes, but like trying to think what else. Okay, back to the iPhone cases situation. There was like a not iPhone case, a wireless charging thing where it was like a wireless charging stand, and it was something like if you buy 3, you get 10% off. If you buy 5, you get like. And I thought to myself, who the hell is buying 10 of these things just to get 20% off? Like the volume discount makes no difference to me. I kind of just want the item delivered to me quickly. It would have been much better if they had just gotten it to me quicker and I would have paid more. At the end of the day, I ended up leaving that listing and going to another listing and buying the one that gets shipped to me quicker, because the volume thing doesn't matter to me. And I'm not going to pay the eBay price volume to then make a profit. So it's not targeted at a reseller, but the fact that it's just not targeted at all. It's just a listing that was made, and they just tried to do a whole bunch of different tools, hoping that whatever tool they applied would work. No thought of the seller at all. No thought of the buyer at all. Just purely seller has stock, makes listing. Yeah, these tools make sense, but you know what I mean? So that's not a quality listing. A quality listing means that every time I see something on the listing, I go, that's they've thought about me, they've thought about me, they've thought about me, they've thought about me. I feel like this listing is made for me. I would not risk going elsewhere to see if the next listing was also made for me, because there's no motivation to do that anymore. That's what I'm trying to convey. And I think when I see a good listing, like a good quality listing, that's it. It's I'm trying to think of be the only one, the best one, and the cheapest one. I was thinking about like I can't remember the place now, but essentially when I was looking to buy I can't remember what it was. Either it was a desktop or a laptop. It was a computer, but there was a computer shop that literally gave every single bit of information in a way that was like, even Officeworks was missing some information, and these guys were like, "Yep, it does this, it does this, it is." this is the weight, here's the dimensions, here's how it gets shipped, and I just went, with each photo is like, here's this on the table, here's this on a, on a cupboard, here's this on a, and I went, yep, I feel like I can buy remotely. I feel like I don't need to actually go and inspect the thing anymore. That's it. That's a good quality listing. Oh, Retroranger, Paul's been making plugins for, I think, a Chrome extensions for a while now. And depending on, should I tell them, Paul? Probably not. Not everybody appreciates him the way you do. But if you feel that it's helpful, do share with other people as well. Seagull Rock Squawk. Thanks, man. Or woman. I can't tell. Which one are you? Cool name, Seagull Rock Squawk. What's the eBay one for, Paul? Like, what's it meant to do? And whilst Paul types up what his grand proposal for his eBay extension is going to be, anything else do we want to cover about quality listings? It feels like when we talk about it, there's a sense of, yeah, simple enough. But what are some aspects of making quality listings that we actually struggle with actually implementing? Is there anything that you feel that I reckon my listings could be better doing something, but I don't? Why? Grumpy Granny. No matter how good your listing is, there will still be plenty of buyers out there who don't bother to read the information. Oh, Grumpy Granny. It's true though. But that being said, if something is compelling enough such that people want more information, affiliate marketing works this way, right? It's like somebody does a really awesome video of I don't know, I'm trying to think of a product a thing that squeezes juice out of lemons. Okay, let's just use that, because there's like a whole bunch of Amazon affiliate links that you can add to your videos and stuff. If the video is appealing enough, for whatever reason, could be the fact that the juice looks fresh, could be the fact that the girl is hot and looks very fresh juicing the lemons, it could be that the guy is very good looking and fit juicing the lemons. Whatever the demographic, the target demographic is that the video was intended for, could be a bunch of kids, juicing lemons, making lemonade, right? To start a stand. If it's appealing enough, people will want to know more, and they will then go and look for the text that tells them where to buy it, what's the brand, how much does it go for, right? Because all that information isn't conveyed in the video. So I think in terms of reading information, only information that buyers feel is not necessary, not relevant, or information that's designed to protect the seller. Like there's a lot of descriptions that have what are, if this let us know, descriptions. Most buyers don't want to do that, because most buyers kind of go, well, if I'm here to buy online, it's meant to be easier and faster. There's really nothing that makes this. I don't expect to have to let you know. I want you to know. And I think that's it. If there is any aspect of your listing that is if this then let us know, most buyers are like, no. Unless, of course, it's a custom-made thing, that's a different story. But if it's something that, a book set, a pair of shoes, Legos, like buyers expect to buy without needing to let the seller know anything. You should know what I want, and then by making it available for sale, if I buy it, I expect you to essentially read my mind. It's not reasonable, but that's how the expectations go with buyers buying online. So it to that end, yes, they don't read, but we have to kind of ask why they're not reading in the first place. Yeah. So for me, when I think about how to get somebody to read something, I essentially you introduce things out of the ordinary that what's the word that capture attention. So in the toy category that that are meant for parents with kids, because parents generally don't have much time to read through stuff. Collectors are better. Collectors I find will take the time to read whatever needs to be read just in case, they just want to ensure standard of care. With the parents, I found just by saying, above all, ensure you spend time playing with your kids. That they don't expect to see on a description, but from a branding exercise, it wakes them up to go, ooh, my eyes wanted to read this because this is important to me. I'm not just buying a toy for my child, I'm being reminded to actually play with them as well. And then naturally, after reading that, they will read the rest of the description or whatever it is that I've added. But as you already know, I don't put that much in my descriptions anyways, but at least they read whatever that follows after or comes before it. So I think a way to kind of get them to engage with the text that you want them to read, if it's books, it could be, I hope you have a shady nook. I hope that you have a comfortable couch. You get the idea. Like there's something that you can have good lighting so you don't go blind reading, whatever it might be, right? Just something that makes them go, that's relevant to me. Seller's a bit cheeky, but at least I feel like they're personable. And then after that, they'll just read the rest. Hopefully, there's a higher chance to read the rest. That could help. Items I saw something. Item specifics, never really bother with them. No, John, they are important. They are so important. They are important when your store gets bigger. Also, everybody, Stone John. No, don't. Just kidding. The item specifics are important when your stores get bigger because the buyer will. When you think of the buyer's perspective, right? If your store has like 50 listings, they will scroll. But then if your store gets to 100 listings, they'll probably not scroll anymore. 200 listings, some of us have thousands of listings. One of my stores has like 4,000 listings. Like you get to that point, scrolling is like doesn't make sense because you don't know if you're going to get what you want for the effort of the scroll. So the item specifics are very important to help the buyer to filter what they're looking for. And especially, and so therefore, thought needs to go into the item specifics. Something simple like if a toy has different types of metal, and collectors know that certain generations have iron as opposed to aluminium, that distinction makes a difference, helps the buyer to find what they're after, as opposed to simply just going metal, which is also an item specific. So to me, when I look at item specifics, sure, doesn't matter if your store is smaller, doesn't matter if your store is random and whatever, but the moment you get into a niche kind of store and it gets bigger, buyers will very much thank you, and your item specifics will help to retain them within your store. And that's also a good thing. Oh, recommended items. I should have read both. Recommended amount of item specifics. Yeah, look, eBay have already acknowledged that you only need 5. Anything else, anything more than that is really up to you. So when I look at item specifics, sometimes the item specifics are also searchable fields. So I kind of use them as a way to hack through the title not being long enough. A good example is characters. So if I'm selling a lot of items, or if I'm selling like a piece of merchandise that has multiple characters, say like a Toy Story hoodie, for example, that has every single toy. You'll have Toy Story hoodie size and color. Um, the item specifics lets you put one color, but if the hoodie has more than one color, I would be putting the other colors in the title, and then I'll be putting the characters in the item specifics, because the item specifics lets me put, I think, like 10 different characters. So I can put like Woody, Rex, Bullseye, Jesse, Bo Peep, Alien, Buzz, Mr. Potato Head, Mrs. Potato Head. You know what I mean? Like the Slinky Dog. So it's so that way when somebody searches in the search bar for an item, all the information becomes relevant to that search. So I guess item-specific hacking is a way of you extending the 80 characters as well. I'm sure I'm not the only one who does it, because the color thing with the color item-specific is a very annoying one for me, because there are some colors that there are some items of clothing that have more than one color. And what did you do? You have to put in the title. You can't just pick. I guess it's predominantly white, and very few people search for white. And I feel like when people search for white, they expect white. So if you have a white base with florals, it's like, no, I wasn't looking for florals. I wanted white. So then really you're essentially doing like floral t-shirt, pink, blue, purple in the title, so that it kind of hits a whole bunch of matches. But yeah, that whole item specific with color to me is a bit annoying. And then they want you to do multicolored. But then multicolored is, whilst an option, is a lazy option, because who types in multicolored as a buyer? Which is weird when I think about how eBay is meant to know how buyers buy. The fact that multicolored is an option tells me that they sometimes don't really know how buyers buy either. Like, we know better. Yeah. Yeah, that item specifics going like this disappearing, Retro Ranger. Constantly having issues with item specifics and disappearing when you're about to finish and redo them all. The only time I've had that happen is if you change the category, then it makes you start all over again. But never had item specifics disappear. That's very interesting. You should like totally do a video screenshot of that and post it on the Facebook group so we can actually see what it looks like. Like, just pick an item that you're happy to share with us, and then we would, if you get the reaction that you think that is, people going, what the hell, then you'll know that it's a legit problem, and then that video can be something that that Jason and Janelle or whoever from the panel can actually send to eBay and go, here's what it looks like, this is not normal, fix it. Maybe they want your measurements, Grumpy Granny. Sorry, can't help myself. Condition, age, where it was made, condition are very important. Very true, very true. I think item specifics help your ranking too. Yeah, I think so. I don't like the ranking thing, more so because I feel like if you've got a quality listing, your thumbnails generally will shine anyways. Your promoted listings will also push your listing up. If you sell to a market that generally sorts by price anyways, they'll sort, and then all that ranking stuff doesn't really matter. Unless you're in a category where the item is very competitive, it's like a very crowded market, then if the ranking disqualifies your listing, because it's like, let's say there's 100,000 listings and then eBay only shows like the first 1,000 because they can't show that many, then I guess the ranking does matter. But then they've also, eBay actually said more important than that is like sales history. So generally in all those crowded categories is multi-quantity listings, in which case not deleting the listing so that the sales history is the thing that gives you your ranking. That is also more important to qualify you for more impressions and then more sales. When you are doing listing, do you give consideration of a buyer using the desktop version versus the mobile app? I'm trying to think what's the difference between both those platforms in terms of buying. I'm deliberating the answer because I know that when they pilot things for the app versus the desktop, the experience can be randomly different for the buyer. So like when they were experimenting with immediate payment for offers, I know some people got it only on the app but not the desktop version. And then what else? I think video is very much only a desktop thing, not a mobile thing. Uh yeah. I feel like the format doesn't really matter because all the information you present in the mobile format appears in the desktop format anyways. I do like the desktop format that allows you to zoom into photos though. So therefore, I suppose the only thing I do is take really high pixel photos, in which case I use the iPhone 14 Pro Max. So when they zoom into my photos on the desktop, they get all the detail down to the specks of dust. Down to like even little fluffy bits of like fluff from your hoodie. So like I'll carry a box of stuff to go take photographs, and then I'll look at the photos after and go, this is mint condition. It's meant to be glossy, but I'll see little marks, and I'll zoom into it, and then the desktop version actually will show all the little like hoodie fluff bits on it, and then I'll go and dust it off again and retake the photos. So apart from that zoom in feature, I think the rest is more or less the same. So yeah, don't think there's much of a distinction in that sense. Listing on the mobile app. Okay, so Retro Ranger says the item specifics disappearing listed on the mobile app. Yeah, so the mobile app is a bit glitchy. Sometimes you have to press like done before you go, and like sometimes you enter item specific, you press done before you go out of it. Otherwise, if you just press like OK or next or whatever, maybe to go to the next field, it actually doesn't input, though it shows it does, which is very strange. It almost feels like, Paul, there's a terminology for this, but I remember back when I was a broker, there was a web there were websites that when you did data entry for like the client name, the address, all that kind of stuff, if you accidentally press the back button, it just wouldn't save, and then it would just all disappear. And then there were some websites where it would constantly update. Flash, I don't know what it is called, like it would just constantly update. So it feels like with the app, sometimes when you're listing, it's like that old legacy style websites where you enter information, and if you accidentally press backspace, it just all disappears, and you have to start from scratch all over again. Don't know what it's called, but that's how I feel the app sometimes can be. In which case, Retro Ringer, why don't you just do it on the desktop? Like, it's so much better. Give us a good reason why it must be done on the mobile app. I like to search to sell similar with the microphone function on the mobile, as I'm not as fast at texting with phones. Are you also a general seller? So you're not really selling similar with your items. You're selling similar with items that you see, because you're buying something, you're comping it, and then going, yep, that's what I've got. Sell similar, just adjust the item specifics for the condition and then pricing accordingly. Is that your flow? That's why you're using the mobile? my fat thumbs say no to listing on the mobile app. Yeah, same here. And also, I find no matter how fast I am at typing with my thumbs, I still find touch typing on the keyboard a lot faster with getting items done as well. I always laugh when I sell a Star Wars boxed item and eBay puts boxing and war into the item section. Yeah, Jason, some of those automatic item specifics are pretty interesting. There was once the character they picked the year that it was made as the character, like the character's name is 1967. I'm like, no. And I think there was a period where the item specifics were automatically populated, and then you had to manually change them. Now they actually tell you to tick the ones that you think are valid on the desktop, which is a lot better. But even then, right, I don't like it because then it's like you're used to scrolling down how many clicks with your finger to go and type on the next thing. But those extra things make the page kind of like pop a bit more, and then you have to scroll further, and you end up clicking on the wrong thing from muscle memory. Yeah. Have we covered everything? Anything else that you guys want to talk about with regards to do you use punctuation in your listings? What's the dash? Hyphen? Is that called a hyphen? No, dash. Yeah, dash. So like the split between like the character and then the range of toy. Just because it reads better. But if I run out of characters, then I don't use hyphenation. There was a period when Spider-Man it's like Spider-Man, Spider Dash Man. And then if you didn't have the dash, it wouldn't show. But now it just shows as one word anyways. So eBay's already fixed that. So that was the only thing that needed hyphenation. Apart from that, apostrophes do matter. So apostrophes matter. Initial names also matter. So like J.R.R. Tolkien. If let's say you're used to typing as J.R.R. Tolkien, and then you just do J.R.R. Tolkien. If someone says J.R., they're not going to get J.R.R. So that kind of needs fixing as well, which you can just hack with the character field anyways in other positions. So you do the non-dotted one in the title and then the dotted one down below, whichever one provides you the best use of your characters, I guess. But I would assume eBay is going to fix that one too, because it feels kind of, no one ever types J.R.R. anyways. When you are listing women's tops, if you type the word top in your title, it will always suggest the brand as top, no matter what brand you have written in title. Is it because of like Topshop? Is that the reason why? I think so to summarize, the takeaway from this session on quality listings is really just to think about what the buyer gets from your listing, and to not have any like wasted steps. So you don't have to you don't have, if you have a quality item that you fulfill in a excellent manner, and your pricing is competitive, and you are more than willing to engage in conversation with your buyers when they've got questions and queries and whatever else, you don't actually have to disclaim a lot of stuff in your listing. Therefore, everything off the listing will be a value add, including your behavior towards the buyer. And you'll find that you have buyer retention, and you'll find that you'll find actually when you go and help somebody who's new to eBay or new to reselling, that you'll start to see the kind of the sellers that don't care about their buyers and only care about themselves. And then they wonder why they're not getting any sales, and you'll know why. And then I think that's you're not going to see the change alone, but when you compare to other people, you'll realize, wait, the reason why I'm making sales is because everything that I do, I think about my buyer. That's so important. That's all I wanted to really get across in the hour that we've been here. Just think about your buyers, think about how they buy, how they want to buy from you, think about why they are choosing to buy from you instead of somebody else. And once you've adjusted that, you'll find that you essentially get to enjoy what is the blissful business ownership experience of, the uncle who runs the coffee shop that everyone just wants to go to, even though a Starbucks opens around the corner, because they like going there and the experience consistent. It's the same. It's thoughtful. That's it. Yeah. If it's a certain DVD or video game that I haven't sold before, I sell similar to sold listings. I also prefer to draft on my phone so I can kick back on my recliner and watch YouTube. Why not sit? Why not kick back and have a laptop on your lap? I'm really looking forward to the 15-inch MacBook Air, because I didn't realize that with the 13-inch you kind of keep your legs at a certain width, and then after a while, like your hips start to hurt because you're trying to like keep the width so that the laptop doesn't fall in between your legs. So I'm really looking for that 15. Then I'm really going to kick back and list quite effectively on the couch. It's okay, Liz. Like buyer looking at the listing on the phone, the information on the phone and the information on the desktop is more or less the same. So don't stress it. The only thing with the phone is they have to click on the item description to read the item description. So if you're wanting them to get important information, you can use the condition field for that, and that generally shows the first line of the condition. So my conditions all say that we combine shipping, because that's the thing I wanted to take away. Like, I already know that the photos convey condition, so my condition field is all about the shipping. If you have a UPC code, will you enter that first and rely on the default item-specific settings that eBay fills in? I don't know. I don't use UPC codes because I don't sell new items. So if someone else wants to chime in on that, feel free. All my UPC codes are like NA. Because whenever I list like Hot Wheels cars and stuff, I know nobody searches with the UPC code anyways. So it's all set to like NA, because I need that to be filled in before I can list the item. Also, I don't, with the UPC codes, I know that people use them to search for listings. So essentially, if Retro Ranger wants to sell the items that I sell and he does it via UPC codes, he's not going to see my listings, which is perfectly fine by me, because less competition, the better. So essentially, if you know you can sell your item whilst you're hidden from everybody else, that's okay. I also take my photos last, adding them straight to the draft on the mobile. Huh. I'm trying to think how that works. I know how that works. I'm trying to think how would... Because if you have the items already, wouldn't you just take the photos of the items while you're sorting them and then go do your drafts later? Or is it a case where you've picked up items and then they're sitting in front of you? So you bring back a box of items, the box sits next to you, you look at the items, you draft, and then the next day you go down and take photos and just add them to the drafts? That's interesting. Because for me, I'm like, the moment I touch the item, all I want to do is take photos of them and get them, and just take photos of them, chuck them into whatever tote box SKU location I've got. That way the photos stay in a folder that is titled the SKU that it's in. And then during these listing live sessions, I'm just like pulling those photos with those SKUs and just listing them as I go. I just want the items to be accounted for in the wall so that they're not lying around like in a death pile. Yeah, never thought of doing it the other way. But that's interesting. eBay doesn't want buyers that to scroll sideways as well as up and down. I think it crams it in pretty good. Only exception will be the HTML stuff. because the template may not fit. But then most of us don't do that anyway. So yeah, I think it. Let me have a look. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the all the listings just scroll pretty cleanly anyways. Let's have a look. So we have photograph, price, condition, used, and then you have about the item. All the item specifics that you fill will show, and then it says item description from seller. You have to click. You essentially have to click and see full description. So that's the only thing that you know. Which for me, this literally is all I have on there. I'm not sure if you guys can see it. It's just to tell them that we combine shipping. That's it. And then shipping wise, estimated delivery, collection if they want to collect, buyer doesn't accept returns, payment methods. Yeah. And then sellers other items. So I think the sideways thing isn't so much of an issue on the mobile unless you muck around with the code and do HTML stuff. Which if Liz isn't doing that, she should be fine. I sell a lot of media, so scan UPC via mobile. That makes sense. That makes sense. Books are often draft before photos. Book but clothing, you should definitely take photos first. You'll save yourself a lot of work. Yeah, because condition, right? We want to know what we're listing. That's the biggest part about clothing. It's not about the item itself. It's about the actual condition of the item that we're selling. If you use HTML code in your description and don't have the code right, you're with word wrap, it can end up with sideways scrolling. Yep. I think what we're really gathering is use what eBay gives you to use. Don't muck around with the formula too much. The aim of there are many other things we can do to retain our buyers, to capture their imagination, to make them stay within our stores. We don't really need to overcomplicate things, especially if the items that we're selling are desirable items already. Because you got to remember, as I said at the start, when a buyer comes to eBay, they are expecting to find an item that they could not find elsewhere for the most part, and they're expecting the experience to be faster and easier. So as long as we deliver that, we're good. Only thing I need to know is how to make my Mills and Boon bundles quality listings. This is what I have been photographing. I always photo first. Mills and Boon. Doesn't Mel from back from Burnout do Mills and Boon? Lots of Mills and Boon. Like, what? Someone tell me what is Mills and Boon? Why it's sought after? Bundles. How would you make a bundle for Mills and Boon? Those of you guys who sell books. I'm guessing it's books, right? Mills and Boon, the home of romance, and got it. Oh, these books with all those covers. Interesting. Love keywords. Love, first love, romance, last sexy love, etc., etc. Ooh, good point, Dave. Copying and pasting stuff from a manufacturer's website specification table. Good point. Good point. In which case, wouldn't you then just do a screenshot and put it in the photos? Isn't that what some people do with clothing and shoes as well, where they will just photograph the sizing chart and just put it in as like one of the last photos? Romance, small short fiction, happy ending, sometimes a bit sexy. Mills and boons sought after by dirty old grannies. Thank you, Grumpy Granny. Grumpy Granny, always very helpful. I also watched your podcast episode today. Good stuff. Good stuff. And because you guys seem to want an opinion on the matter, I don't think I don't think YouTube ruins reselling for resellers in the was it op shops? Was the question about op shops? I feel like to me it ruins the YouTube ruins reselling for new resellers because there are a lot of because I think Octo mentioned like false narrative. So true. Like the number of times you watch a video and you very quickly realize that these people don't make money from reselling. They make money from everything else but reselling. And then but they're telling everybody that if you just do what I do, you could be me. Except they're not telling them to do the YouTube part. They just want to do the reselling part. Yeah. But thankfully though, people are not stupid. I think with enough time, you can tell if somebody is a legitimate reseller or not. And so really the business model then of the YouTuber tends to just be like the new guys watching, the new guys getting disheartened and then no longer watching and trying to find better quality content. And then more new guys watching, and then that's their cycle, right? So I guess the churn is I'm guessing the churn is quite high for those people who want to actually resell. And then I guess there are those who just watch it for entertainment value because they like the personality that's on the video talking about whatever it is they're talking about. Yeah. Great job with the podcast. I feel like you guys have something good. And jokes aside, should get sponsored by a donut company. So if there are any donut companies out there that want to sponsor a budding reselling podcast, let me know. Everyone wants to blame resellers for increased prices in op shops, but if you want my opinion, you have to watch the podcast. Yeah, I think I feel like increased prices has more to do with op shop staff. Just okay, I think increased prices has to do with everybody shops online, therefore everybody is more aware of everything that exists, and so when they get a lot of stuff come through the door, it's not weird and random anymore. It's not a bunch of tchotchkes. It's literally just, yeah, I've seen that before. I know that. I know this. And then the brain pulls up a lot from the subconscious because the internet has given them all these things. And they know, oh yeah, that thing is used for this thing in the kitchen. That thing is used for, this thing in the workshop. That thing is a tool in the shed. Like they know. And or that's a character from this toy. And so just having knowledge gives value. And I think that's why op shop prices have gone up because everybody just knows more. And the lack of precision with pricing has to do with the fact that they know more, but just not the more that we know, which means that sometimes the pricing can be they don't know enough and it goes way off to the top end or way off to the bottom end, in which case we pick them up at the bottom end, we leave them alone at the top end. And then eventually doesn't move, the price kind of adjusts anyways. But because they don't churn through as much stuff and they don't sit on stock for as long because they throw it away or redonate it or whatever it is, right? They never get the chance to actually see through a full 12-month cycle for any particular item that they have mispriced. And so when you don't have the mechanism of price correction, plus you have more knowledge but not enough knowledge, you get random pricing with no correction. And that I think is the reason why op shop pricing has kind of gotten a bit weird recently. Because especially with COVID, everyone shopped online, everyone saw everything, everyone looked for random things on Facebook, Gumtree. So and everyone kind of thought that whatever pricing they saw was legit because they just wanted to get stuff. So you can imagine, right? There's somebody out there who still thinks that toilet paper should be at this price when it really is at this price because there was a time when they had to pay this price and they just got used to paying that price. So I think that applies to any items in existence. That's my take on why op shop prices have gone up. I don't think it has anything to do with resellers at all. And most people don't even know we exist, to be honest. Yeah. Ethan Rushok should sponsor the show. Yes, Ethan Rushok. I think you would get lots of fans, you would get lots of customers, and so I think you should sponsor the worst reseller podcast ever. Let's deal with this one. Plus they're run by corporate. Yeah, so overheads have gone up as well. So therefore, I'm sure there'll be a nudge for pricing to go up. Uh, people are people donating less? I wouldn't say they're donating less. Don't I feel like people are buying less, but I don't think that they're donating less. So it's hard to say because, like, I remember talking to somebody who had been through proper recession, and they were saying how, like, you kind of just you had enough clothing to last two washers. You only change your shoes when you needed to change your shoes, and like we're nowhere close to there. So I feel like the thought that the recent announcements and the economic climate we're in at the moment is making people behave drastically doesn't feel quite there yet. Not close, not even close actually. So yeah, I feel like it's just general corporate wanting prices to go up because rents have gone up, rates have gone up, salaries go up every year. Yeah, just typical business behavior. Like even like for us as business owners, we have a responsibility to raise our prices so that we can match rising wages. So then it's like, if cost of living is going up and people are not buying, we technically still need to increase our prices, but manage the way we manage the way we incur costs in our business so that we can hold our prices for long enough, while those who insist on spending the same as they always have go out of business. Then we end up being the new standard of pricing, because that's how things align, right? Wages must go up. Only way they go up is if sellers make more money to cover those wages. If buying is not happening as regularly, then prices have to go up to account for less volume in buying. How do you do that? By being the only person who actually sells the item in the first place. So some adjustment, pivoting, choice of product, managing your costs on the back end, that leads to you being able to charge that price because you are the only person or one of the few people who do sell the item, and then you're able to sustain the increase in wages, and that in a period where staff retention is a lot more valued because they can't go anywhere for a job because no one else is hiring. So that's kind of how I think we get through the season. So our prices have to go up as well. We owe it to ourselves in order to stay in business. And I think that's, yeah. So to the point about, op shops being corporate, they do the same thing. They need to raise their prices too in order to then stay in business. I take all information in YouTube content with a grain of salt. Take bits and pieces, but always do your research. Everybody has different circumstances as well. So true. Circumstances, damn. And not everybody shares their circumstances. I think that's the thing. Like, not everybody will tell you that they've got, special needs children. Not everybody will tell you that they've got multiple properties to maintain. Not many people will tell you that they have, that they have family to support financially. Not many people will tell you what they're saving for. They will happily let you assume that they are as stock standard as they come. So really, when it comes down to watching stuff on YouTube, it's knowing like what it like. If you really want to know what it takes for them to make it happen, you can always reach out and ask them. Like for me, right? I'm able to do this business and do YouTube and try things because Jenny has a part-time job that's stable. She's the stable one out of both of us. So during periods when we have slow sales, she covers the gaps. During periods when we have great sales, my extra income covers all the other nice stuff that we want to have or any upgrades and things that we want to do. If we both were doing reselling at the moment, it would be a lot harder. So when somebody is like, single parent making a transition, I'm not so quick to go, just do this, just do that, you'll be fine. Because it's because the circumstance is a very important thing. So making, for those people who are, single parent households, like, you guys do it so tough, and you guys do such an amazing job by pulling through. I'm like, you know. So when I am able to grow my business at a particular rate, I do not ever expect anybody to watch this and go, if I can't do this, I'm a failure. Hell no. Your circumstances make a huge difference into how you track. And even then, right, if you happen to have a few like lucky wins along the way, and that gives you that boost, that's your luck, and you have to acknowledge it as that. You cannot go, you cannot then talk about it as if everybody deserves these breaks as well, because not everybody will get them. And I think ultimately we have to really put more weight on the dedication to the effort put in to grow, and the effort put in to change and learn and adapt to what is essentially a daily learning process that involves a fair bit of grinding. So yeah, everyone's circumstances is different, and not everybody shares their circumstances as well. Um, hmm. The use recycle item concept has also grown and become the in thing for a variety of reasons. Call me disenchanted, but I feel like nobody, I feel like the people who tell us to recycle don't actually do the recycling properly. Maybe I've seen a bit too many 60-minute current affair videos of, rubbish bins just combining things together and not really caring. I don't really, and I feel like recycling is more posturing than actual planet saving. I will not say any more because I feel like I'm digging myself a hole. That being said, I do recycle. I have 2 recycling bins. We must deal with this one. Retro Ranger, with age comes wisdom. That's not always a guarantee. Thanks for joining us, Angela. Have a good night's sleep. Bye. Amazon Prime Day. Amazon Prime Day tends to slow eBay down a bit overall too. I'm very curious to know what's going to happen when Amazon Prime becomes like a thing here every day. Because at the moment you can, but yeah, because like in the States it's pretty much a daily competition thing. In Australia, not really. So, and prices on Amazon haven't really been competitive just yet. But I'm very curious to know how that's going to go. I guess we just have to jump on the platform, right? If our products, yeah, I'd be curious to see how that transition goes. Grumpy Granny, if I don't flash your comment across the screen, does that mean that we can pretend you never said it? We love you. We love you. I feel like we're all collectively your grandchildren. People with limited money are natural recyclers, always looking for cheaper alternatives. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah. Also, looking when you go to an op shop, I feel like the quality of items on the shelf, I'm quite impressed by it. Like if I were to, I mean, you guys know this, like a lot of the stuff that I buy is generally secondhand or heavily discounted because, so like these t-shirts, I get them from EB Games. So every time EB Games is like end of financial year, so I clear their little like boxes of like pop culture t-shirts because they fit me quite well. I'm not paying, I refuse to pay $20 to $30 for a t-shirt, but 5 to 10, yeah, no problem. I think, and then when this goes into the op shop, it's like I don't feel bad letting it go because I've generally worn it for about a year. You guys get bored of seeing me in them, and the condition wise is still pretty good. It's not like I take them, to go play rugby in. So, hey Paul, what did one saggy boob say to the other? If we don't get any support around here, people will think we're nuts. Moving on. Very true, Sandra. I think as things get tougher, our reselling businesses will grow as people who still want their brands will also look for used. Yes. Also, I think stores are going to not provide as much shelf space for new brands as well. And so if we just keep selling what we sell, knowing that the primary market isn't really meeting the need, that's a pretty good calling card. And especially when you've got streaming services like YouTube, Netflix, Stan, all these places that continue to keep demand for things warm. Um, and I'm not just talking about Marvel movies. Like last time when you had toys for Marvel or DC come out, it's because it coincided with a movie. Like you'd have this Tumblr Batman that came out with the movie that had the Tumblr versus this other this other one that from the movie that had this car in it, right? Like now you've got so you've got streaming services that keep the demand for these items warm because you can rewatch the movie over and over again very easily, and you'll continue to be recommended to you. It's also the fact that you have movies that point to certain eras, style of clothing, style of like style of behavior, dance, any sort of like cross section of culture. All that becomes top of mind regularly, and I think that in itself helps reselling a lot because people don't forget about swing dancing. People don't forget about tap shoes. People don't forget about old cars with white wall wheels, white wall tires. Like people don't forget about that because it's just they can reach for that stuff so easily now. You don't have to go to a library and pull a book to look at an old car. There's so many movies that feature them, and if you happen to like it, the algorithms for all these platforms keep feeding you more stuff with those things in it. So yeah, I like where this is headed for us. Not even from a budget standpoint, just from a shaping of taste. You're allowed to have your own taste. You're allowed to choose what you consume, down to it just being on your screen. So yeah, I like that. I dress my kids from op shops and hand-me-downs for years. Agree, I cannot justify buying new clothing at full price anymore since reselling. It definitely changes your mindset on the value of clothing. Agreed. Same here. Do you guys see my Instagram post with the Ninja Turtle watch that I picked up for my son? So he's been talking about Ninja Turtles for a while, and I do sell them, so I've got a whole box of them. And he's been into Michelangelo because he likes the goofy nature of it. He's very much mini me. And so he's been saying my new favorite color is orange because I like Mikey, yada yada yada. I went to pick up a whole bunch of toy cars from the same op shop that I went to for that vintage haul that I picked up 2 weeks ago. And they had another box. I went through it, and sure enough, there's a 1990 watch, Ninja Turtles watch that you guys saw on my Instagram, just sitting in the cars. Took it to the watch shop, got the battery changed, it worked. Yes. So I've told him that if he can be on time to school for 10 days in a row, he can get the watch. I reckon that's a pretty good reward. Like it's a $60 vintage watch on a 7-year-old's hand. I remember buying a cheap tracksuit for one of my kids new, and it was so fluffy and warm that I felt guilty for all the secondhand clothes. We make it so emotional, don't we? This whole like our purchases. Uh, I struggle with buying like new toys. Lego is probably the only time I buy toys brand new because I don't have the patience to buy them secondhand and hope that all the pieces are there. It just does my head in. If the timeless one says that something is essential as a parenting tool, I believe we should all follow it. Thank you, timeless one. Bit of bribery. Also, reselling makes bribery a lot easier because I think we pick up a lot of stuff cheaper. Like there's this toy called Arcado where how do I it's easier to show you guys. Arcado. All right, I'm going to share the screen. Yeah, so these are what my son's into now, and all his friends at school are. Essentially, you pull this tab back and forth. The guy spins around a bit, and then essentially they hit each other, and then one guy pops out and splits in half. Each one of these figures goes for something like $10 each, and so I picked up I think a lot of 20 of them for $50, and I've been giving it to him every week. He does his homework, and without complaining, he gets to pick two randomly. The funny thing with this is he for like I think 3 weeks he was like, oh, but I finished my homework, and I go, yeah, but you fussed about it. You made it like a battle. And he was like, oh, and trying to explain to him that you're not getting rewarded for finishing your homework. That part doesn't get rewarded. You should just do it without getting a reward. The reward is for the fact that you're not a pain in the ass to me, having to make you do it or tell you to do it or remind you to do it. If you come home and just do it and do it without fussing, no arguing, no lip, just do it, then that's the part that we're rewarding. He was like, I think this has been a pretty productive live. How do you guys feel this went? And also, for the third week in a row, let me know what you guys want to talk about and send me some questions that you guys want me to address in before the next live. Because I feel like we wait for stuff to pop up, overdoing the bribery. If I wait for like the chat to pop up before talking about it, it feels a bit disjointed. So if you guys can like just comment, I'll put a post up on Instagram. Just comment saying like things that you want to ask, anything during the week at all. Could even be things like, have you had your fruit today, John? Things like that's anything. Just put it in there. That way we can hit the ground running, because I feel like picking a topic is great, but at the same time I also feel like everything in the topic is mostly covered in all the other videos we do anyways. It feels more like a reminder session, but I guess reminders are a good thing too. The point being is, comment on that post. Let me know, guys, what you guys want to talk about before next week's session. I feel like doing some listing now. Who wants to do some listing? I picked up a lot of stock today, and I've been thinking about that since we started the live. Got some good stuff on the get listing live, which is a bit selfish of me, but I feel like you guys have stock that you can probably list as well. So, on knowing Retro Ranga, he's probably listing right now whilst listening to the live. And Dave. Ooh. Raunchy. John, don't tell us. Don't tell us. Are you reading the books before you list them? Saucy. This one came to mind. You guys used to watch Austin Powers? Randy, baby. Yeah, Randy. Ooh, I'd be interested to. My kids would say, "Do I get a reward?" My response would be, "Are you still alive?" Good God. Jason, as usual, you're not letting me list. This behavior is consistently worrying, and we have to talk about it in private, I reckon. Just kidding. Favorite Lego line would be Lego City. I like Lego City. I don't, because it lets me play with my kid. The expert stuff, the modular buildings, it's not very playable. So mostly like the city stuff that it's like this kind of stuff where there's like a facade and then the back's kind of open, so you can kind of this is a really really cute set. You guys should get this set if you can. You can get your hands on it. It's like really cute. Grumpy Granny, I feel like you need this set. Although there isn't a granny in there, I'm sure there's a granny minifigure I can find and I'll send it to you, so you can have your little up home. But yeah, I like these sets because then you can actually play with it on the back end, and I think for kids it's good enough, and for me it's good enough too. It takes up less space as well. Yeah, that's my favorite. And also, I'm tossing up whether I open this up and build it and put it on the desk somewhere, because I feel like now that I've got the screen set up, I can probably kit out this space a little bit better. Yeah. I've got this one for my daughter. She's been really looking forward to building this one. This one I picked up for really cheap. It was only $20. I had to drive about 30 minutes to get it, but yeah, $20. This normally goes for about 60, 70 back when it first came out. Where is it? There we go. Rapunzel. Every time she comes to the room, she's like, "How old is it?" And I look at 6. So when I'm 6, I can play with it? Yes. Okay. And then she walks away. Hmm. Whatnot. Whatnot. I would love to sell on Whatnot. I've got so much stuff that I reckon I should probably move in bulk. That Whatnot would be great for that. Yeah, because I feel like with Whatnot, there's a unique personality first of all, which you and I, Grumpy Granny, have in spades, hearts, clubs, and diamonds. There's stock in my store that I would happily cut because I've got a lot of it, especially when I buy in bulk, right? Like if you think about, let's say you bought action figures, and let's say you do DC, you'll get a whole bunch of Superman and Batman, and then you get the obscure characters along the way. You don't want there's so much Superman and Batman that you just want to sell them at half the price and just let them go, just to cover the cost of the lot. And I feel like if I did an hour show, I just want to sell all that stuff away for really cheap, but you can't cut the price in the actual eBay store because then it just messes with the perception of the price of the other stuff that's actually quite valuable. So I think there's a bit of a tension there when you want to cut prices on stuff that you have multiple volumes of, so you can keep relisting more. That Whatnot will be really good for. So yeah, if Whatnot does come to Australia, I would definitely jump aboard to move the desirable, more common stuff. Yeah. I have a friend and her parents used to point out how lucky she was to have a roof over her head, clothing, food, private school, and didn't have to pay rent, pay for any, etc. when rewards were asked about. Lol. Have you guys seen that? I don't know which movie it's from, but I keep seeing this clip on YouTube, the one with Denzel Washington. Let me see if I can find it. YouTube. See if I can find it. Denzel. Yeah, I think it's this one. Wait. Oh, it's not going to play. I'll send you guys the link. This is the clip that comes to mind whenever someone says that. One. Essentially, he's the kid goes, why do I feel like you don't like me? And he looks at the kid and goes, what says I have to like you? I feed you, I clothe you, like I don't have to like you. I can't say that to my son yet. I think they're too young to take that. But I reckon when he's a teenager, we're gonna have some pretty harsh exchange, because I was a pretty lash out kind of teenager. Like I remember I got some friends over. They they didn't make a mess of the house. It was they just some pillows were not aligned properly. My parents were very like neat people, and then they said, why is the house so messy? Can't you do a better job tidying it up? And I just went, God, do you want to see messy? I just started tipping chairs over and throwing pillows everywhere. I think I was about 17 at the time. And I feel like because I've done that, that I'm going to have to deal with that as well. So yeah, in 10 years' time on this channel, we will probably live stream one of those moments. Also, my boy did ask to be in one of the live streams. I told him, you can't, it's late, you have to go to bed. But I did say the next holidays, the first week of holidays, when he's still sleeping a bit later, I can let him come on. So let me know what you guys want to ask him. What does your daddy do for a living? He sells stuff. This has become a parenting live. I used to tell my kids when they were teenagers, I love you, but I don't like you very much right now. Paul, dads don't fart. You know that. We don't fart. Before we have kids, we fart, but after we have kids, we don't fart. Anyway, shall we do some listing? Are we okay with ending the live here and doing some listing? I reckon I can probably go for another couple of hours. We will end with Liz saying that her mum's favorite line was, I brought you into this world, I can take you out of it again. Her parents are great people. My second parents growing up. There's a book on that, actually. Wait. Book, Animals Eat Young. I think that was a book. That was a kid's book. Not what Animals Eat Young. It was something else. Oh. I saw it in Kmart, I think. This one. There we go. Nope, not that book. Which is that book? There you go. This one. Oh, the link broke up. That sucks. Screenshot. Nope, doesn't work. Share the screen. Let's go. Just share the screen. Boop. This one. There are moms way worse than you. Irrefutable proof that you are indeed a fantastic parent. I think the wait, I'll see if there's if there are any preview of pages or not. Does Amazon give us previews? Page previews? I don't come on Amazon often. There are moms way worse than you. Book pages. There we go. You won't be worse than hamster mums, no matter how you try. Sometimes they eat their newborn pups, we still don't yet know why. A mum giraffe is pretty nice until the fetus drops. She'll birth a newborn baby calf, then kick him till he walks. An eagle mom believes in survival of the strong. She'll let her little eagles fight until the death. How wrong? If someone calls you selfish mom and makes you feel like crud, tell him sometimes Dracula ants will suck their baby's blood. Oh, if a quack, guess what? Oh wait, if a quokka mom comes face to face with dingoes in the wild, guess what she'll do to get away? That's right, she'll toss her child. So there you go. You are all fantastic mothers because none of those things you would ever do. All right, those of us who are listening, list. Those of us who are not, enjoy the rest of your night. Thanks for joining me tonight. I think it was fun. We covered a lot. And most important takeaway, in addition to being resellers, we're also people. So look after your families, be kind to one another, and we'll catch you guys on Thursday for listing as well. Bye.